All right, well that didn't take long because as it turns out I have an assortment pack of little M6 wing nuts of different sizes, and I have Imperial lock washers, and I got these on pretty easily. They're metric, of course, with a ball and wrench. I thought it would be prudent to put those on first, just because of the way this is. So these should go right on. And I found the instructions kind of rumpled up in the bottom of the box. And as I'm looking at this thing, I'm kind of seeing, you know, where it's messed up, and you know, it's really only a small amount of repair work it needs, or replacement plastic parts, it seems. But you know, maybe I'll discover more as I go on. Seems like it's mostly all here, just a little minor damage. So it saved me several $100s, so I think that was a good buy in this case. If I did return it, because it was really bad, much worse than I thought, I would have to pay return shipping, and that would be a chunk of change. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I would do in that case. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case, but I did think about that. Sometimes you can do that. You know, I've bought machines at auctions many times, and you know, you don't always know what you're getting. You know, if you can't see it running in person and look it over, you don't know. But I've been fortunate. But you know, sometimes you have to ask questions, and sometimes the seller can't really answer them because they don't know much about it, or you know, so sometimes you just have to take your chances. And you know, generally if you win an auction, it's not like eBay like this one where they had return privileges. Generally, if you win an auction, like you bought it, it's yours. You know, you just have to, you know, take it home and plug it in and see what you get. And like I said, I've been fortunate. I bought some things that turned out that I didn't want to keep, but that happens. And learned some things doing that. But I've been fortunate so far in not having total lemons that were just like complete boat acres that I had to scrap. You know, I usually was able to get my money back out of things, at least, you know, sell it for about what I paid for it. Yeah. Sometimes they made money, you know, because if you're Johnny on the spot when you're buying machines and use tools, you know, if you're Johnny on the spot and you got cash in your pocket and you say, hey, I'll take that off your hands right now today. You know, or if you're looking at some stuff and you see something else you're interested in, you know, carry some extra money in your pocket, and you see something else and you say, hey, you throw that in, I'll give you another $100 or whatever you're going to do. You take it off their hands. You know, with machinery, sometimes if you know what you're doing, you can get tools for scrap iron prices. You really can, especially if you get into the more industrial stuff that you know, three-phase stuff and things that most hobbyists wouldn't be interested in. I mean, the really heavy-duty stuff. And you know, sometimes you're going to be dealing with transportation and movement hassles, like really heavy stuff. But once you got that figured out and you got your confidence in doing that, then you can get some incredible machinery for really cheap prices. And I've been doing this for years, and most of my stuff's not super heavy duty, but you know, I've owned several things that are over 1,000 pounds, and man, I got good deals on them all. So it looks like this part's done. Take these off. And I don't want to hurt myself lifting this over. It's really kind of smaller and less heavy feeling than I thought it would be. At the, you know, it just, I actually measured it just a minute ago, and it's actually, when it's fully closed, it looks like it's about 45 inches long. I was thinking 48, but in person it just doesn't feel like 48, you know? It just feels compact. It feels very, and like, it just doesn't feel that heavy. It's really lovely the way it's, how portable it is. Okay, I can tighten this. This tightens somehow. I can't quite figure this out. It doesn't want to turn. So something, you pull it. Oh, this one's stuck. It's one of these things that you pull. Oh, that's why. It should lock, but it's not locking for some reason. Oh, these work. You don't need the, these are for if you want to you don't need these. These are the ends for if you want to lean it over on its edge and pick up plywood with it, which I don't know if you want to do that, because one of the ones I saw was auctioned, the frame was bent. And I mean, like, I'm up for fixing a lot of things, but a bent frame, I mean, it's something that I've never looked at before, or I'm not sure about how it's put together. I don't know. I didn't want to touch that one. I think that one might actually be currently on auction, and somebody, I think somebody bid on it, like, you know, 500 bucks or something, and they're gonna see what it's like having one of these with a bent frame. See if they can fix it, or maybe they can't, and they have to send it back or deal with it or something. Mostly, I'm looking, it looks like the plastic parts are pretty much here, except for these end caps, which I'm not quite sure how this works. This one's completely missing, and it looks like I need to put a washer on there to compensate for that or tighten that up. And this thing is not, springy thing is not working right. So maybe a little lube in there or something. It's got some locks in there, right? Let's slide on that. This one, it's missing the knob, but I have some spare parts for that. They came in the bag. So let's see how we get this apart. I have seen videos on this, but not really paid much attention. I just got the general idea and said, okay, yeah, I want one of those. There we go. That's your German engineering for you. And it that one goes. Let's see. I don't know. It looks like it must do more than that. Okay. There's something I'm missing. Oh wait, here we go. Here we have more of these things. So maybe you can leave it in half open, and now we have a big square. So how does this expand further from this? It really rolls pretty well. I mean, the casters are not real robust. You could easily replace them with better ones if you wanted to, but you know, wear them out. You know, spend a few bucks and replace them if you want. If it comes to that. This one that's missing the thing. This one's missing it too. I think I have those. All right, so it comes out. These are supposed to come. They don't come out all the way. They don't come out to fully support your plywood. I think they come out. There we go. They come out to like 72 inches or something. And then so this one. I'm not this there is a thing that it seems like it pops. Oh no, this is just, that's all that does. There's not a center thing. That doesn't come out any further. And then these ones come out, and that's not locking. So I'll get the hardware there and see if I can make this work right here. Looks like I have some parts here that I don't know what they are. And so I've got this little shot pin thing, whatever these are called. And I don't think I have the right size wrench in my pocket. And this one is, this one might be busted off actually. I might have to attach this in some way. It looks like this is, yeah, it looks like it's plastic or metal that maybe, I don't know, it snapped off. So that may be something where I need to actually buy a new part from Festool, since it looks kind of, and this one, the end actually broke off. I could see that because they included the broken off end. So this is actually broken. So, all right. Looks like they dropped it on that end, on that corner. And this one, oh, and this one's bent too. This one's in bent. I think this one could work. And this one, the metal actually broke right off on this one because you can see I have the two parts. So that's something I'm going to have to figure out, how to lock that. And then I have 4 of these, and I looked it up in the instructions. I only have 5 of the other ones, but that's what it's supposed to have. It's supposed to have 5. So these probably go here or something. Yeah, and these turn, and they got springs on them. So they're not. I don't think they're the shot pin ones. They don't pull in and out, but they turn and they stay. They're made so they and you can tighten these so it does. Let's see what that does. It oh, that's so you can make it taller. That's what that does. You can make it taller, I think. But I don't know, for what I want to do with this generally, it's just kind of breaking up sheet goods, I imagine. But let's see if it'll go. Oh, heck, I don't know what that does. I don't know. You could watch a video on how this thing really works. But my overall impression of this is pretty good. I mean, I admit it's a lot of money for something like this. But it's Festool, so the resale value is likely to be really high if it turns out something doesn't work for you. So you're never going to lose much money investing in Festool, until the tool itself actually becomes obsolete and is replaced by a much newer model. It's way updated. Like I had the old tracks that didn't have the thing on the side for the jigs and stuff, and you know, once they brought out the new ones, everybody wanted only those. And I had the old the original TS55, and I have an original I had the original MFG 1080, which is the fence is different from the one they sell now. The hinge is the same, you know. So most of my older stuff was very different from what is sold today, but it would still work. It worked good. It was great for the time. And I managed to get rid of it before it was too obsolete, and then I didn't have much in the way of Festool for a while, and I wasn't really doing woodworking. And then when I was getting back into woodworking and investing some money again, I got some newer Festool stuff. And again, since then Festool had increased in popularity since I got into it I've been into Festool for, I don't know, since the early aughts, maybe 2002 or something like that. I've been buying it because I was working as a pro, and I immediately saw the value in it. So I invested some money in it. It hurt, but it really helped me be more efficient and faster, and it helped with more accurate panel processing for a small operation where I had to be flexible. I had to be in people's homes and stuff like that, and do stuff on the fly and work quick and stuff like that, you know, without the right equipment, you know. But so I had a shop too, but I was always pressed for space, and I was always doing a lot of heavy lifting, and anywhere I could save some effort and so on to compensate for the weaknesses in the tools and the space that I had, I took a serious look at it, and that's the way I think about these tools. You know, if it can save you time, save you effort, or you know, save you money in the long run, and if you can, you know, even if it doesn't really turn out to be something you need long term, as long as you're not going to be losing a lot of money by reselling on the secondhand market, because common things, you buy a Grizzly table saw or so on, you're gonna get like half of what you paid for it. If you buy it new, you're like, new is nice. I agree, new is very nice. But you're gonna get, if you sell some common item like that, a Grizzly table saw or joiner or something, you're gonna get like half on the used market. There's guys out there, they try to sell them for more, but I mean, are they really getting that price? I don't know how often that's happening. So that's something to consider too. So that's my machine buying advice, and on buying Festool and other highly desirable kind of tools, like prestige tools that a lot of guys want to try out and see if they work for them. And you've even got these people who invest in Festool as a kind of, you know, their dentists or whatever the thing is, and it's just kind of a hobby. So they've spent a lot of money, and then they don't really use the stuff because they're not really pros or anything, so it doesn't get used. And then eventually get tired of it, and they sell off a bunch of it when they, you know, are tired of being Festool poor, and they get several $1,000s in their bank account from getting rid of stuff they're not using anymore. So that happens too. So keep your eye out for that, and you can get some real bargains on some really nice tools. So I'll put this up, and then later on I'll give some feedback on this after I've had a chance to use it. And in the meantime, I think I'm going to start making some other videos too about some other tools that I've had or currently own, and about what I think is good about them and what is not. All right, thanks.